Scotia's grave. She was the Egyptian princess or queen who founded Ireland and Scotland, and she was a princess who went to, oh God, this is one of those things that, like, uh, shall we say, the theosophy-minded Freemasonic Ulster Billy Boys in the alternative scene love to promote, because one, it plays into their, their Orange Order backgrounds, theosophy backgrounds, and their whole little kind of, British Israelism worldview of, like, everything ultimately goes to the Bible, and we're all the tribes of Israel, and you shouldn't be listening to these gobshites. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just spouting the family business. That's all they're up to. Now, let's talk about this Scotia grave thing. It appeared in the Ancient Origins website, which is generally a mixed bag. It can have some very good articles, but it can have some truly atrocious articles as well. And one of these things, like the idea of Scotia's grave, an Egyptian princess coming to Ireland, it ties in beautifully with the absolute nonsense that's peddled about by theosophists and Freemasons in the alternative media, because it ties in with their whole kind of, like, ultimately biblical thing that all goes back to the Middle East. Always goes back to the Middle East. Always remember that. As soon as they're bringing in biblical characters as foundation myths in European mythology, it's all you. That's the calling card. That is the calling card. Now, it's done for two reasons. One, that's the kind of background they come from, and B, it's a good marketing thing, because all that Bible bullshit, it sells well in the US and all this crap. The Scotia's grave thing appeared in a medieval manuscript called the Book of Leinster. Right, the Book of Leinster is supposedly the story of Ireland. It is no more accurate than the stories of King Arthur, which were also invented more or less by the Catholic Church as well. Except there was actual. You see, the thing is the mix it. They're very clever. Just like the Arthurian stuff is real, because there was kings that could have been applied to, such as Offa, and definitely the Merlin character did really exist. Same thing with the Book of Leinster and this stuff. It's written by monks and Christians, and they take what was true to an extent and spin it around so it always has a Middle Eastern origin story, a biblical myth. And so this whole thing of it's up there with the tribe, Tuatha Danann being a Hebrew tribe of Dan. Anyone who puts that out there immediately discontinues their supporting them and their work. They're promoting the British Israelism, Christian view, Presbyterian view of the 19th century. These bastards who tore Tara up. Immediately just leave it. It's over at that point. It's over at that point. Your relationship with them, and in terms of, like, getting, even alternative knowledge. Now, that's not even alternative. That was mainstream Presbyterian Bible scripture discussion from 100 years ago. Now, the Scotia's grave thing, yes, while it's true that there was a tribe called the Scoti who were Irish, and they moved in part to Scotland, there's nothing to do with Scotia's grave. This was written by the monks the same way they said that the first people to arrive in Ireland were the daughters of Noah. You see, they take the truth, and then they add the little thing that we came from the Middle East. You see, we came from the Hebrews, the usual bullshit. And the same thing with Scotia. Even though she's an Egyptian princess, who do they say she's descended from? Moses. You see how they play this? You see this? The whole thing is to make you believe that you are, these Presbyterians, desperate to out-Hebrew the Hebrews, even rewrote Irish history and mythology well, these were Catholics, these ones, but the ones who really turbocharged it and really ramped it up. You have to remember, you see my video yesterday about the Celtic Christians. They were the first kind of, like, British Israelites. And then you had the Catholic Church, who ironically were pagans, Christian pagans almost. And then you got the Presbyterians, who wanted to be the ultimate Hebrews of all. And they loved all this stuff. And they loved, and then when the British Israelism movement, there's even that picture I showed on I think on one of my videos on Beyond Room 313, you see them all standing around Tara as it's being destroyed while they're looking for the Ark of the Covenant. And there's all these like Presbyterian ministers with the white collar around them, Reverend Havershaw and the Reverend Samuel McNeil and all these types, you'll find the Ark of the Covenant. We was proof once for all that the tribe of Dan was the founder of the Irish people, these types, and we put these papists in their place once and for all, and this kind of nonsense. The whole and as for the sign pointing to Scotia's grave, that's a Neolithic mound that some local chancer put a sign on it saying Scotia's grave. It'd be no it'd be no more different than I walked around with a T-shirt saying, "I have a 20-inch penis." Does that mean I have a 20-inch penis? No, I still have a little penis. But that doesn't mean a sign pointing to Scotia's grave doesn't mean that that's Scotia's grave. And that's how that works. That's how that works. And you're fooled constantly. And don't be listening to this nonsense. These people, you know, it's really obnoxious, and it's all very deviously and very, it's all funny carry on, and there's always a theosophist or a Freemason in the background. The same with the whole cosplay druids and their whole like dressed up as Anglican ministers with tiaras and stuff. There's always a little bit of the lodge nearby or the Presbyterian church around the corner. There's always a lot of that kind of thing going on. So be very careful of this nonsense, and just because it's posted on a site that might have normally good stuff or occasionally good stuff, always be wary. This is this whole Irish Save Civilization bullshit. It's all about Christianizing people who are not Christians, Middle Easternizing people who are not Arabs, and Hebraizing a mythology and spirituality that developed in this part of the world. And it's why did they do it? Why did they do it? I just don't understand. Why would you want to, why would you want to do that? Well, okay, it's marketable. I understand that, but it's also it's like it's self-deprecating of your race. But then again, if you're a Sammy Billy Boy Theosophist, you wouldn't relate to the Irish anyway, would you? Wee man.